Hello everyone, and welcome to number 10 in our book study series of Unfolding Consciousness, Exploring the Living Universe and the Intelligent Powers in Nature and Humans. That's you. This is the first volume. This is over 1,300 pages. So we do about a page a lesson. So we've got a lot of work to do. But this is the most important text, the most important work, the most important book I have ever come across. To me, I've told you before, it feels like the secret teachings of all ages for the new millennium. And it is compiled and explained, and there's references and links so you can find all the original sources of the ancient teachings. Dr. Eddie Villamoria wrote this down. Took him 20 years. Not ego. It's not about ego with Eddie. He is here. This is service to humanity. I recognize that, and I wish to be of service to get this out there into the world. You don't have to buy the book, but you can have these free book studies, and the teachings are out there. They belong to everyone. They're not exclusive to anything. So we're going to begin now as I do the translations. What I do is, as a student of the ancient teachings, I just translate what I understand Eddie to be saying, because I think some people might find that easier at first. And then I will read the actual text from Eddie and give you a timestamp so you can go right to that if you'd like. I'll also put links up above so you can purchase the 4-book set. This is really a reference manual that should be in every library all over the world. And they have pictures and they're beautiful hardbound books. There's 4 of them. You can see the other ones over here. There will be ebooks coming out soon. I just spoke with the publisher, which is Shepherd Walwyn. We'll be working on the ebooks. There'll be condensed versions. There'll be audiobooks. So there's much more to come. But I can't just let this sit here. This has to get out into the world, and that's why we're here. So here on the Voice of Compassion YouTube channel, I believe in these teachings. The application of them has changed my life. It would be irresponsible of me not to share them. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with my translation. And please forgive me, I'm just sharing what I know as of today, okay? What I understand as of today, because every day I realize how little I actually know, and I'm always learning. So as we get started, in this text, there are little post-it notes printed up in there that give you little study guides. So I'll be reading those out at the beginning of each session as well. It helps you find where you're at as you're studying these mammoth texts and applying them, which is the most important thing. So we are continuing the Proem, which is on page 37 in little Roman numerals, xxxvii. So let's get started with those little post-it notes. Here we go. One of the post-it notes says, self-discovery counts above all else, and the universal ageless wisdom is known under a variety of similar terms. Perennialism, the tree of perpetual fruit, inscribed in the forecourt of the Temple of Apollo at Delphi. I'm putting a picture here for you. In that temple are the words, know thyself. Other Greek sages like Pythagoras and Socrates have said man, which means humans, know thyself. To know the you that is you, the one that is listening to me talk right now, who's listening with your physical ears? To know who that is. This is not about simply giving advice, but about the most difficult of instructions, which many do not or are not willing to understand. Many do not look past the simplicity and consider only the shallow surface meaning of the words, know thyself. For to bravely work towards knowing all who we truly are is worth more than all the worldly riches. To know thyself offers an invaluable clue to resolving the endless problems that have challenged humanity since the beginning of time. Yes, technical progress and the global spreading of knowledge indicate that we have made some progress. But the most important progress of all is in the fundamentals of self-discovery. This is where the work takes place. To read the book of our own life, to discover our deepest, innermost core of who we truly are. Once we know ourselves deeply, we become more profoundly aware, because we become more profoundly human, because in that knowing we meet all other beings. Since the dawn of time, sages through the ages have urged us with an eternal request to know ourselves. They've all said it, and thereby to know the rest of humanity and the world of which we are a part. It would be ridiculous to say that we have found the ultimate answer or instruction or insight. However, this book can help us find a foothold on the first few steps in that direction. So what does it mean to know thyself? Does it mean to know that we are made up only of this physical body? Or are there more layers to who we are? Subtle bodies on higher levels and planes and dimensions of being than just our physical selves, all under the guidance of an overarching master principle. That master principle is none other than consciousness. In this work, we deal with the unfolding of consciousness, the primary principle of all existence, and its expression through various bodies, subtle and material, on all planes of being, from the divine and the spiritual to the material and the physical. Our range of questions and terms of reference will embrace the universal ageless wisdom and the confirmation of some of its principles by modern day science. So science, religion, philosophy, spirituality. It is important to understand what is meant by ageless wisdom. This wisdom is known under a variety of terms. This collection of wisdom addresses the oneness of all life and the built-in divinity of everything that exists. It is the root of all religions, sciences, and philosophies. It is the unbounded wisdom of all ages and in all times. It can be detected in the doctrines of the East and the West from ancient times to the present. It has been called Philosophia Perennis, the perennial philosophy, the ancient wisdom, Theosophy, Theosophia, divine wisdom, sacred wisdom. The basic principles of the ageless wisdom may be found scattered among the folklore of aboriginals and so-called primitive peoples in every region of the globe. Moreover, it informs the core teaching of the world religions and constitutes the matrix of the laws of science, as we shall see. A more specific reference to this universal wisdom is occult science. The word occult, we talked about this before, simply means hidden, from Latin to hide, hence the science of the secrets of nature, otherwise known as the Hermetic or esoteric sciences. Alchemy is a science to which Isaac Newton devoted his life. It is an aspect of the universal occult science, and alchemy means the chemistry of the invisible or hidden aspect of the laws of nature. As the term occult science is almost always misunderstood, we shall consider its meaning in depth as we proceed. There is a strong overlap of meaning in all these terms, but there are also subtle nuances that convey fine differences and shades of distinction. However, to avoid confusion caused by all kinds of terms, perennial philosophy, in its original and authentic rendering of Philosophia Perennis, which is virtually synonymous with eternal wisdom, will be used throughout this work as a generalizing term. Now, we have chosen this term over the others for two good reasons. First, the term perennis signifies the eternal nature of this philosophy and its everlasting application to nature and to all people everywhere. Many people will hear perennial and think of flowers or the evergreens. Now, the evergreen characteristic of perennialism was elegantly voiced by Dr. Schweitzer. He likened it to a tree that annually bears the same type of fruit, but never exactly the same fruit, symbolizing that the universal wisdom, ever one in essence, must periodically be given new expression and communicated in a modern-day way, that's what we're doing here, to suit the current era. Second, in order to underline the love of wisdom, denoted by philosophia, derived from the compound philo, meaning loving, love, and sophia, meaning wisdom, the Philosophia Perennis encompasses the mystery teachings imparted in the ageless global mystery schools of the arcane centers of learning. So you're at the mystery schools right now. This is it. The harmony, commonality, and unity in all the diverse explanations of the perennial philosophy, Philosophia Perennis, are fundamental features to grasp, so it is mandatory for Eddie to explain carefully what is meant by unity in the context of the perennial philosophy tradition. So let's get into Eddie's original text of what I just said. Continuing the proem. Inscribed in the forecourt of the temple of Apollo at Delphi are the words, "Know thyself," in Greek. The same aphorism has been rendered as "man, know thyself" by other Greek sages like Pythagoras and Socrates. Now, this work is therefore not about giving advice. It is concerned with that most difficult of all injunctions, which the worldly wise rarely bother to understand, or to which they render but a shallow surface meaning. But a considered response to this wise exhortation of the Delphic oracle is worth infinitely more than all worldly riches, because just these 2 or 3 simple words, whose brevity far outweighs their profundity, impart the clue to resolving the myriad of problems that have beset humanity since the dawn of time. As affirmed in the epigraph, technical progress and the rapid dissemination of knowledge do indeed represent progress. Likewise, the integration of our common humanity into our culture and society. But the most important progress of all is in the fundamentals of self-discovery. That is, reading the book of our own life to discover our deepest, innermost core of who we truly are. As Albert Schweitzer, O.M., the German, later French theologian, organist, philosopher, physician, Schweitzer, and medical missionary in Africa was at pains to point out, once we know ourselves deeply, we become more profoundly human, because in that knowing, we meet all other beings. Since the dawn of time, the exhortation by sages of all ages and cultures to know ourselves and thereby to know humanity and the world of which we are a part of is, of course, a perennial entreaty. It would be presumptuous, indeed, to profess to have found the ultimate dictum. However, we may claim in this work to have advanced a few small footsteps towards this supreme but never-ending quest of self-inquiry. But what is meant by the disarmingly simple injunction, "Know thyself"? Does it refer merely to our body, which obviously assumes that we are just our body and nothing else? Or does the totality of our being comprise our physical body as well as subtle bodies on higher levels than just the physical, giving us form and expression at those levels, all subsumed under the guidance of an overarching master principle? This master principle, we Eva, is none other than consciousness. In this work, then, we will be dealing with the unfolding of consciousness, the primary principle of all existence, and its expression through various bodies, subtle and material, on all planes of being, from the divine and the spiritual to the material and the physical. Our scope of inquiry and terms of reference will embrace the universal, ageless wisdom and the corroboration of some of its tenets by modern science. It is important to understand what is meant by the universal, ageless wisdom. This wisdom is known under a variety of terms, all conveying the essential meaning of eternal truth. This corpus of wisdom addresses the oneness of all life and the intrinsic divinity of all that exists. It is the root of all religions, sciences, and philosophies that have burgeoned like magnificent fruits from the branches emanating from the central trunk of the tree of wisdom. As the term implies, it is the unbounded wisdom of all ages and at all times. It can be discerned in the doctrines of the East and the West from antiquity to the present. Amongst the many appellations given to this universal wisdom through the ages, we cite Philosophia Perennis, the phrase coined by the German philosopher, mathematician, historian, and inventor, Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz. I'm getting there. FRS, then adopted as the perennial philosophy by Aldous Huxley, the novelist and philosopher, nominated 9 times, that's 9 times for the Nobel Prize in Literature. 2, the Religio Perennis by the Swiss philosopher and metaphysicist, and this is Friedhof Schuon, the ancient wisdom. Ancient meaning in the sense of being eternal or ageless, not obsolete. The eternal wisdom, Theosophy, the mystery teachings, Gupta Vidya, the Sanskrit term meaning divine wisdom, and Prisca Sapientia, the Latin term for sacred wisdom, used by one of the Royal Society's most illustrious presidents, Sir Isaac Newton, in reference to this accumulated store of ancient wisdom. Rudiments of the ageless wisdom, another common term, may be found scattered among the folklore of aboriginals and so-called primitive peoples, that's so-called primitive peoples, in every region of the globe. Moreover, it informs the core teaching of the world religions and constitutes the matrix of the laws of science, as we shall see. A more specific reference to this universal wisdom is occult science. The term occult simply means hidden, from Latin. To hide means out of view. Hence the science of the secrets of nature, otherwise known as the Hermetic or esoteric sciences. Alchemy is a science to which Newton devoted his life. It is an aspect of the universal occult science and means the chemistry of the invisible or hidden aspect of the laws of nature. As the term occult science is invariably misunderstood, we shall consider its meaning in depth as we proceed. There is a strong overlap of meaning in all the above terms, but there are also subtle nuances that convey fine differences and shades of distinction. However, to avoid confusion caused by a plethora of terms, perennial philosophy, in its original and authentic rendering of Philosophia Perennis, which is virtually synonymous with eternal wisdom, will be used throughout the entire work as a generalizing term. When a different term is used, it will be for a specific reason in order to point out a subtle distinction of meaning. We have chosen this term over the others for 2 good reasons. First, the term perennis signifies the eternal nature of this philosophy and its everlasting application to nature and to all people everywhere. The evergreen characteristic of perennialism was elegantly voiced by Dr. Schweitzer. He likened it to a tree that annually bears the same type of fruit, but never exactly the same fruit, symbolizing that the universal wisdom, ever one in essence, must periodically be given new expression and communicated in an updated idiom to suit the epoch in question. Second, in order to underline the attribute of love of wisdom denoted by philosophia, derived from the compound philo, meaning loving, and sophia, meaning wisdom, the Philosophia Perennis encompasses the mystery teachings imparted in the mystery schools of the arcane centers of learning of the Orient and the Occident, from ancient times to the present. The underlying self-consistency and unity in the diverse expositions of the Philosophia Perennis are cardinal features to grasp, so it is incumbent upon the writer to explain carefully what is meant by unity in the context of the Philosophia Perennis tradition. We will continue with the Proem next week, and this is really the first week that I've done the translation at the beginning and then Eddie's text here at the end, and I'll give you again that timestamp so you can go straight ahead to the pure text. I try not to throw in my stuff as I'm reading his stuff, and I try to do the very best that I can when I am translating his stuff to make it a little bit maybe more palatable to someone who is not familiar with this. But this text, as it is written, I believe will be around for many, many years, and it just came out last spring. Currently available only in this hardback collection that should be in every library everywhere. I'm going to say that again. This needs to be available for everyone to access. I believe in this work. I have applied the ancient teachings of what I would say is the Theosophical. That's how I started, the Theosophical branch, as I started coming in, Light on the Path, Voice of the Silence, the Secret Doctrine. I came in that way. The 14 lessons, many of those are here on this YouTube channel for you. I've voiced them in audiobooks so you can study there. And there will be more people coming into these book studies, and I'd like to get more involved with you. I'd like to answer your questions, just being on camera with you to be able to talk to you back and forth in live chats. Or if you want to, leave a comment and say, answer this question. I'll get together with Eddie. He can either come on with us or I'll answer it in the next episode. For crying out loud, get involved if you wish. Again, there is a link to purchase. And oh my God, I forgot. I need to tell you, I have a discount code. I have a discount code exclusively for you, the YouTube Voice of Compassion viewers. If you'd like to purchase this book, you can get a discount of 20% by typing in the discount code UC for Unfolding Consciousness Book Study. That's UC Book Study. Type that in and you get 20% off. Yay. I just got that last week. So good. And remember, ebooks are on the way. More to come. I love you. And I will see you next week. Thank you for being here.